From the New York Post, government shutdown likely after Schumer says Senate Democrats will block the GOP funding bill. And I'm of two minds here. I like the idea of the government shutting down, but I also do understand that Donald Trump is trying to get this budget passed so he can start going after his agenda, which we want to see happen, which largely includes dismantling government. So it's like short-term gains versus long-term losses, right? Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer announced Wednesday that most Democrats in the upper chamber will not support a House Republican passed bill to fund the federal government through the end of September, all but ensuring a partial shutdown beginning at 11:59 p.m. Friday. Quote, funding the government should be a bipartisan effort, but Republicans chose a partisan path, drafting their continuing resolution without any input from congressional Democrats based. Because of that, Republicans do not have the votes in the Senate to invoke cloture on the House CR. Our caucus is unified on a clean CR through April 11th that will keep the government open and give Congress time to negotiate bipartisan legislation that can pass. So with the Republicans holding a 53-47 advantage, they need at least 60 votes to overcome a filibuster. Looks like it's not going to happen. Not to mention, Rand Paul says he ain't going to be voting for it. But I don't know. I like it when the government shuts down, I guess.
The only concern I have is I don't want to see the Republicans get blamed for the shutdown, considering most people know that Donald Trump is a Republican. They have a slim majority in both the House and the Senate, and people don't have a deep understanding of how the sausage is made in D.C. So I feel like the Republicans are going to end up owning this shutdown. I think that that's the intent of the Democrats as well. Like, even all of the stuff that's going on now is going to be funded in this CR, right? Like, there's no serious cuts yet. So the Democrats should ostensibly like that, but they're going to go ahead and say, no, we're not going to vote for it. And the reason is because they want to go ahead and see the Republicans get smeared, in my opinion.
What's the longest we've had a shutdown?
Oh, weeks.
But no more than that.
It was a long one, wasn't there? Let me check. That's a good question, Ian.
When back in the 90s, my mother used to work for U.S. Fish and Wildlife, and she was out of work for, I want to say, a couple of weeks. I want to say it was
30. It was recent. It was 35 days in 2018 and 2019.
Was the reason?
That's what I was thinking about. Yeah, 35 days.
Is it paid? Do they pay? I mean, I imagine
they don't pay while the government's shut down, but they end up getting paid when they go back.
Oh, they'll get paid back pay?
Yeah, usually it's the stuff that you end up seeing is stuff like, oh, we're going to shut down the parks. You can't go to like Yosemite. You can't go to national parks because they send those people home, and because that's a low effort way to get political points. Serious things that say the DOD is doing, or serious things the State Department's doing, they're going to keep doing it. All of your foreign stuff when it comes to U.S. foreign policy and stuff, they're going to keep doing it. It's just barely serious when the government shuts down. Most Americans don't notice. The people go ahead.
This time, I think that the media is looking for a big win, or at least the Democrats are looking for a big win, because so much has been happening over this past month that has been in favor of Donald Trump and the Republicans in general, that this is finally their first big break where they can say, look at what Trump is doing. He's now shut down the government. Look at all these stories about all these park employees, being out of work, and they'll play on that to get as much as they can against Donald Trump right now, because obviously it sure seems like they've had a hard time showing that what he's doing is bad. And of course, we all know Orange Man bad.
Yeah. I think you're totally right. I think that the effort by the left to see some kind of negative headline, any kind of negative news about Donald Trump or the Republicans, is really, really important to Democrats right now, because they are in such disarray, and they have nothing that they can actually get behind. They don't have leadership. They're not sure what the party actually is anymore. And I've made this point a couple times on the show recently. Democrats have a serious civil war between the progressives and the I guess your boilerplate liberals, and they're not sure what they want to do. The progressives are the ones with the energy, and the boilerplate liberals are the ones that can actually get funding from the donors. So they don't know who's in charge. They don't know how they want to present themselves. You can't get a platform when you can't agree on what direction your party should take. So the Democrats are relying on Republicans to mess up. That's something that James Carville had said a couple weeks ago.
I don't know if I care. Right? like the fear is that Republicans are going to get blamed for the shutdown. I don't think so. Or I don't care if they do. In fact, go ahead, Democrats, please, for the love of all that is holy, put the blame on the Republicans, because it's going to expose how the Democrats' insane ideology can't even overcome a government shutdown in terms of PR. Right? The Democrats could come out and give everybody a free Twinkie, and their ideology is so insane, people are not going to want to vote for them.
Yep.
It's so if they blame the Republicans for this, fine. They're still going out and going on TV and saying men are women.
Yeah, I mean that was a little hubbub when it was Sarah McBride, I think is
Exactly. Did you guys see this story?
Yep.
Where is this, in Delaware?
Yep.
So the chairman introduced the Congressman Sarah McBride, who is biologically male, as Mr. McBride.
Yep.
And then some other guy was like, "How dare you? I refuse.
Have you no shame?
Have you no shame? And the other guy was like, "I will not participate in this fantasy."
And so, yeah, I mean, he and they shut down the hearing and adjourned. So
People are a lot of conservatives are bent out of shape over this, transgender member of Congress, Sarah McBride. It's federal Congress, right?
Yeah.
McBride?
Yep.
From Delaware. And I'm just like, why are y'all mad? We want the Democrats to stand on an 80-20 issue on the wrong side.
Yeah.
They're going to lose.
I would like to see more Democrat trans Congress people, so that way the American people can really understand that is the platform the Democrats want to go with.
And see how fake the outrage is, because you can see clearly from the guy grandstanding saying, how dare you address? It's great to see, because a lot of people are kind of waking up and realizing, like, obviously it's a biological male. Obviously it is. But for some reason, we're still kind of playing this game as the adults, and they're supposed to be the representatives who represent their own constituents. But it suddenly has become all about them. And so they're furthering exposing themselves as to how selfish their party is. It's not about representing the other people. It is about, you have to address me in this certain way, even in our Congress.
The rest of Congress should actually take a page out of McBride's own book, because the way that McBride handles this, McBride doesn't get upset, doesn't get worked up, doesn't make a stink, lets people say Mr. McBride and doesn't make a big deal about it. Just like, okay, I'm here to do a job for the people of Delaware. That's not blah, blah, blah. And so McBride allows other people to make a stink about it, which is exactly what happened. And that's the right course of action. If the Democrats really wanted to not have this be an issue, they could just say, all right, well, we're not going to make a stink about it. We'll let the Republicans look like the meanies because they're not using the preferred pronoun with this person. But they can't. I don't know if they can't, moderate themselves or whatever, but that would be the actual smart play.
Well, I would think that their entire ideology has been built behind having that virtue signaling kind of support. That you have to constantly declare your loyalty to the narrative. And so I don't think that they can just turn that off, because in order to move up in their social circles, you have to declare constantly on how virtuous you are.
I wonder,
and one up each other.
I keep thinking about Gavin Newsom. Like, is he? I think
didn't you buy a statue of himself?
That is hilarious. I hope so.
This is a bust.
He looks like.
You saw that story?
Yeah.
There's a story where he apparently paid money to a nonprofit to make a statue of himself. Anyway, what were you saying?
He doesn't seem like he's adhering to a narrative. Like he's kind of a rebel in the Democratic Party, and now he's got his own show, which is a great movie. He interviewed Charlie Kirk.
No. I wouldn't call him a rebel. Maybe more like a lizard person.
He's a lizard in the Democratic Party.
Are you
a snapping turtle?
Are you saying that he is recently, or are you saying that that's the way that he's been, you think?
I don't know. Governing California is a tough job because it's a big place to govern. Like, Northern California is very different. You should probably have two governors, two states, except for the water rights, and then they'd be all hell would break.
I agree. Northern California should be its own state.
Like, you need someone to govern Northern California.
Jefferson, maybe?
Yeah.
You could have maybe like a state governor that oversees transportation and electrics and water, but like those culturally, the north of California is very different than the south. Like, just trying to govern San Francisco is insane with all that poop. And the south, all the desert and the entertainment industry, like it's a whole other beast. And north has all that green, the trees, and the south has all that desert. So I think that he has done, He hasn't been your average Democrat. I don't know why. I just brought him up because I watched his interview with Charlie Kirk, and I'm like, he's really trying to break that brainwashing mold. And he's like, what do I do? Charlie, tell me. Like, what should I do?
He's not trying to break the brainwashing mold. He's trying to seize control of it again.
He wants to be president 2028, I think.
I agree with you.
He needs the mind control, and he's realizing what's not working, and he's trying to reassert something to work.
I agree with you about, about lately he's trying to remake, his image and stuff, because I think that he's really damaged after COVID and after a lot of the quote unquote woke policies that California's had. But I would say that, like, prior to maybe the past year, he was very much in lockstep with the average Democrat and very progressive Democrat. I mean,
he'd be a great guest too. I know he's super busy and stuff, but like, I wonder if he, as the walls started to fall around Kamala, if he just realized this imperial Democratic organism is insane. If he just shocked him awake.
I think he's realizing that his support has to come from a different avenue, because he saw exactly what happened and how Kamala spent over $1 billion and still lost the election. And he's realizing that if he does want to make a future presidential run, like he's obviously not stupid. So he's kind of just realizing that, okay, in order to make plans for the future and be successful in it, he's going to have to step into this arena. And so he had that podcast with Charlie Kirk in trying to open that door and then show that Democrats can be cool too, right? They can be part of that crowd and move on from the old legacy to change their image from what they have been to this new sphere of media.
It didn't work, though. The whole narrative is, look at Gavin Newsom pretending to not be woke, right? So he was hoping the narrative was going to be, oh, wow, Gavin Newsom's moderate, but who believes that? The progressives are attacking him because he attacked progressives, because he agreed with Charlie Kirk. They're saying, I don't care, whatever he said, he promoted Charlie Kirk. He's persona non grata. And everybody on the right is like, yeah, we don't believe you, Gavin. Nice try. There is no future for this guy, in my opinion. I mean, obviously, he may run for office, but he's not convincing regular people that he's not a psychopath. He's going to burn Democrat bridges at the same time. This dude is going to run in the Democrat primary in 28, and he's going to get 13%.
Do you think it'll be that low, huh?
Well, I'm kind of being a dick when I say 13, but it's going to be low. And it's going to be because he's being attacked. He's going to be attacked from two fronts. The right is going to go after him and say, this guy's smarmy. And the left is going to say, this guy's smarmy. This is the problem Democrats have had over the past decade. They know that if they go up against the progressive sect, they lose 10 points. And maybe they can win 30% with the existing moderate Democrat base, but 30% doesn't get you over the line unless you've got like a four-way race, which ain't happening anytime soon. So now Gavin Newsom is like, we've got to moderate. We need to pull the party closer to the center if we want to start attracting people. So what happens? Sits down with Charlie Kirk, plans his podcast. Everyone on the right immediately is like, nice try, Gavin. We know what you're doing. And then the left goes, I can't believe you would say those things about trans people.
Yeah, you said
so
that
he's lost.
There's a lack of fairness with men and women's sports, I think. I didn't see that part of the interview, but that's what I heard he said.
The most plain thing you could possibly say is it just acknowledge biological reality and say that it's not fair, and he's getting torched for it.
It was a great moment because he was like, Charlie, what do I do? What should I do? Like, he was basically prostrating himself to Charlie Kirk, like, how can I win? And Charlie's like, you got to say that it's not cool to have men and women's sports. And then I guess he did. And he was like, yeah, it's not fair. That's the point of the video where I hit the stop button.
And now he's getting attacked by progressives. So he's going to end up with no one on the right supporting him. He's going to get very few moderate liberal types. Maybe he gets all of them. But again, 30%.
It's an inevitable shattering of the Democratic Party unless the money tries to hold it together.
That's good.
Like if the funding just is like, listen, we're not going to let this thing break. We're just going to keep pumping it up like foie gras and just disgusting tube feed this thing. That's like a baby duck that you tube feed, by the way, to get its liver all fatty before you eat it. It's pretty gross.
Well, not baby, regular duck.
Regular duck?
Yeah.
Foie gras?
Or goose. Or goose.
Thank you.
They got a big metal tube and they grab it by the throat and they jam it into its throat and they pump it full of corn and oil.
So that's what the liberal economic order has been doing to the United States and Democratic Party for about 50 years.
I agree with that.
So maybe they'll keep trying that, but I think like culturally it's destined for a shattering and like a regrouping.
So I think the money would go to people like Newsom. I think that Newsom is charismatic and has enough, and not that I in any way agree with his policies or anything, but I think that he's charismatic enough and good looking enough where the rank and file donor, the millionaires and billionaires that actually spend money on Democrat races, I think that they would give him the money. I don't think the money will go to the progressives, because the progressives want things like, they want to tax billionaires out of existence, and they will end up going after millionaires. And they don't like rich people at all. They think that every billionaire is a policy error, and they want to expropriate property, and they want to have price controls, and they want to have all kinds of control over your private life and personal property and stuff. And I think that that's really unpopular with the people that have money, because they don't want to have that. They don't want government to have that kind of control over their lives. So I don't think the Democrats are going to have the progressives leading at the end of the day. I think it's going to be the regular
Indeed.
liberals.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.